Brooklyn's historic The Black Lady Theater is now taking bookings. Host your next birthday party, concert, networking event, baby or bridal shower, wedding, art show, gala, corporate event, live stage play, audition, and so much more. At the one and only The Black Lady Theater. Mention code GODCAST for 15% off your rental fee. Code good for the first-time customers only. Valid for a limited time. Call 718-771-0900 to book your event today.
Hey, today is Sunday, September 1st. Making today's math.
Knowledge.
That's right. Knowledge is to look, listen, and observe, also to respect. Knowledge is infinite. Peace. Welcome back to Yanadameen Godcast. I'm Lord Jamar.
I'm Digga.
We got Team Yanadameen in the house. We got our live studio audience in the place to be right about this time. Yeah. Brooklyn in the house. We're here at the Black Lady Theater, and if you notice, we have back in our midst the ever-glowing, a very tan, a very chocolatey Rah Digga is back.
I'm back,
y'all. What's your motherfucking name? Digga. And you're looking chocolate.
Yay.
We like it.
That was
like
cool. I had fun. Shouts out my girl, Foxy Alex.
Come upstairs. We upstairs.
For her milestone birthday. She's officially over the hump now. She's the big 4-0.
Okay.
So give it up to my girl Alex.
Our sometimes correspondent.
That's right.
Here at the Godcast, although she hasn't been in
real
our
fact
Brooklyn
checker
location yet.
Right.
But when we was out in your state,
yes,
Jersey,
big city,
she would come quite often. We love Foxy Alex. And once again, happy birthday to you. You're looking great. Listen, before we continue, I just want to tell the people, make sure to subscribe, click the bell, to like, and also, of course, if you'd like to donate to the show, go to cash.me/$Yanadameen, patreon.com/Yanadameen, Yanadameen.com/support, or bounty.com/Yanadameen. We just give you multiple ways how you could add on, how you could build with us. Because we're going to get into a little later about, revolutionaries being supported and not supported, and what that means, and people have to make moves. But anyway, we'll get into all of that later. But Digga, how was your trip? How was Cancun after copying my moves? Because I was just out Cancun a little while ago, and now you're trying to move how I move. But anyway.
In real life, we don't want to die in DR, so we all going to Cancun.
This is true.
The first day and the last day was all ocean and poolside. Everything in between was hiking through the Mexican jungles. I got all kind of bites, cuts, scrapes, bruises. I was swinging upside down from zip lines. I did the Chichen Itza tour.
Now, I'm mad I didn't do that shit. How was it?
You did it? Oh my! Well, for one, it is excruciatingly hot. I mean, that is some other level of heat. And I have a revelation. I'm not saying I'm converting, but I learned things that give credence to the science of flat Earth. Now, wait. Hang on. Shut up.
No, shut up. I just can't. You don't even have to do a whole room But can just for me, my own self, can I just get a little?
Okay.
No, even better.
Slow clap. You want to stand up and slow clap? Now,
Okay.
let,
Go ahead.
let me just say this. I'm not all the way.
That's okay.
I'm not all the way there
That's
yet.
That's okay.
But I'm not so quick to dismiss it as a pseudoscience.
Thank you.
That's all. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm just gonna leave that
and
there.
And we're not gonna press it anymore.
And to be honest, it wasn't even information that I was looking for, but I took this trip. You know, I was blessed by the shaman. I did a number of things, and
did some ayahuasca.
And
did you do some ayahuasca?
What's ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is this like hallucinogen that like shamans would give
Oh
you.
No, I didn't
help you. You know what I mean? Enter next dimensions and shit like that.
No, I didn't do that. Although it sounds fantastic. I need to look into that.
Speaking of ayahuasca, shout out to the fact that the little interns have finished their summer intern program here at the Black Lady Theater. Which is why I'm smoking a blunt right now off the ribbities.
Static.
Off the Euripides of us filming right now. Yeah, they was kind of cramping my style a little bit.
I could dig it.
You know. We loved them though, you know, even though they was missing out on a couple of things, mics being off, people pissing in the background, shit like that. But you know, we loved them. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
And for those of you watching who don't know what a Chichen Itza is, it's basically a tour of the ancient Mayan ruins.
Well, we're going to show it right here.
Okay. Yeah, I was there. It's about 200 degrees out there. It's no shade. It's nowhere you can go to stand in shade. It's just the sun beaming on you. There's, they say there's like an electromagnetic force. I mean, it's just, it was a lot.
The place that it's located at is very special.
Right, right. It's
on a ley line.
Right. It was a lot. And yeah, and some information just, fell into
Well, it was meant for you to receive that because everything happens for a reason.
I think so. And it shouts out to Alex because this was all her idea. And I'm like, what do you mean we going hiking through the jungle, girl? You see all that blue ocean water out there? But no, I'm so glad.
How was the ocean waves? Were they kind of rough? They were kind of rough when I was there.
The first day I did it was great. The second day I almost broke my neck.
They was crazy.
A wave literally knocked me off my feet, took my glasses, made me bang my head on the ocean floor. I was like, okay, I gotta go. There was a story in the news about a father of 3 breaking his neck. I'm like, okay, I see how that happens.
Right. Like seriously,
it literally
was no joke out this motherfucker.
It literally knocked me off my feet.
Speaking of took your glasses real quick before we continue, what a segue. Shout out to my man Giovanni in the house. Just walked in. He's the one that called me real quick on the phone, and I couldn't interrupt the show to be like, come upstairs, but that's just what I did. Anyway, so speaking of glasses. My man, David Ford. Remember a couple weeks ago when Lady Luck was here? She had on some nice glasses.
Yes.
That was from my man, David Ford. Now, David Ford is a black fashion designer, I guess you would call him. And he has some eyewear, and he gifted us with some eyewear. So I'd like to give you your pair right now. And I'm going to break out my pair.
Let's see.
I've been rocking with this young man for a minute, and I got to tell you, he's stepping his game up as far as his packaging goes.
I'll say I like the case here.
Eyeglass cases.
Ooh, is this camouflage cat? You better. You better.
I think he analyzed your style and knew what you would like. Just like he knows my style.
Wow. Camo marble cat eye. You better push through.
Look at these Cazal-esque joints with the panther on the side. Let me profile them for you.
These are dope. Oh yeah. I'm rolling.
Digga.
Fresh.
You feeling me?
Fresh.
You feeling me? So, yeah, check out my man David Ford. He's on IG.
Very
I'm sure
dope.
you go to davidford.com and all of that. Matter of fact, hang on. Here's his info. David Ford Eyewear, yeah. Oh, www.dfceyewear.com. David Ford Eyewear Manufacturer.
Speaking of gifts, I bought something back for you.
What? Did you?
Yes, I did.
What the?
Straight.
You shouldn't have.
With the duty free packaging on.
Wow.
Unable to obtain in the U.S.
You cannot get this in the U.S., people.
Hennessy White.
Hennessy White.
For you, my brother.
Oh, Digga, thank you.
You owe me $68.
I got you. Oh, this is listen. Thank you. This is very nice. This is something that will go to use.
I'm sure. I'm sure it will. It looked tasty. I trust me. I had to.
It's smooth.
I had to fend a couple of the homies. Get back, get back.
Come on. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a thing right here.
I got you, bro.
Thank you. We're gonna sit
right there in between the Nubian.
Yeah. Because it might get some energy, like, you know what I mean, and just infuse it with positive energy from off the show and all that. So before we get to our next segment, because we got a special guest coming up, let's unpack it, y'all. What everybody, I'm sure, wants to hear us talk about and unpack and get to is this whole Jay-Z and the NFL thing.
Right.
What are our thoughts? How do we feel?
We semi-yelled this one out on the way
in
here.
The car.
Semi. Not as bad as Flat Earth and that rapper we won't speak of, but
right.
we were there a little bit.
A little bit, but not really.
Not really.
I've walked in this room before, like, drained from our car ride. Just like
by the time the camera come on,
fucking Digga boy. Oh my God. She's a fucking handful. Nah, today wasn't like that. I feel like because I hear what you're saying. Okay, first of all, let's get into it.
Okay.
I want to know how you feel about it.
How I feel? Before you unpack, let me unpack
Before
first.
I unpack,
okay.
let you unpack.
I'll unpack first.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in this outrage culture that we're living in right now, people are being too quick to rush to judgment and play judge and jury without weighing all the facts. First of all, we don't know any facts. The only facts that have come out is Jay-Z did a deal with the NFL. Kaepernick disapproves, and JD says that he was offered the same situation, and Jay-Z talked him out of it. That's all we know. Like, all we're hearing right now is all the prosecution argument. We have not heard from the defense. We have not heard from any witnesses. I just think that Jay-Z has a long enough track record of showing and proving that he is for us. Now, has there been missteps in his journey? Yes and no. People argue that the Barclay was a good thing, was a bad thing. I think ultimately we just don't know enough. And until we see what he does with this situation, I think it's too soon to ostracize him. That's what I think.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not,
cutting me off.
Cutting you off. Digga couldn't even get her goddamn thought out before Jamal came in.
What I will.
That's how y'all sound.
What I will say, I'll just add and then I think I'm done. Unless you say something that pisses me off.
Which I'm sure I will.
I think that when you are making these power moves, sometimes, well, not even sometimes, it's just you can't always reveal your true motive out loud. I mean, if you look at the spook that sat by the door, if you look at all of these different instances where everybody just instantly gets upset at the outward picture and then they see the end result and it's like, oh, that's what was going on. Like, we just don't know what the end result is going to be. So I think everybody needs to reserve their outrage until we see what the end result of that is. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So now for me, you know, I'm almost conflicted to how I feel. Like, because I'm not outraged at Jay-Z, but does this feel good to me? Like when this happened, he comes out and he does this whole, Jay-Z's working with the NFL, blah, 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 blah. What didn't feel good is when he said, well, we've moved past this portion of the protest or whatever the case be. We've moved past that. That part didn't really sit well with me.
It didn't sit well with Kaepernick either. He responded to that.
But after all of that, it just seemed like, and that very night, NFL preseason football was on, and it seemed like in the subsequent days, football was on. Like the timing of this was kind of sleazy to me. What's known is that Jay-Z is going to have a hand in the entertainment side of the NFL, and he's going to have a hand in picking, and that includes the Super Bowl halftime artists and all of that. That we know.
And that's what the NFL reported, correct?
Right. And that's also the job that he supposedly talked Jermaine Dupri out of. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that. What's very ambiguous, though, is what exactly is he supposed to be doing or putting in place for the players to have a more appropriate place to protest these things. I mean, to me, that could be anything. That could be a little room with a video camera, and you go in there and you vent. like.
And do you think that's something that he can say out loud right now?
I don't know if it is or not.
I'll give you an example. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you finish. Finish your point.
Yeah, some of the other things I just wanted to hit on was, yes, okay, having Jay-Z in the room with these football owners / plantation, runners. Is it better than to have him in the room than to not have him in the room? I suppose it is. I just don't feel that in a good old boys club like the NFL ownership and any sports ownership, or even if they do allow a black man to come in there in some shape, form, or fashion, is his word going to hold any influence over them? I feel like it seems like he was brought in because his influence is over us. His influence lies over us. We was the ones that's like, fuck that, we're not watching football. I still ain't watching no fucking football. So now it's kind of like, let's call in, the man of influence, the man that made niggas put on button-down shirts and change from gold to platinum and start drinking from from Old English to Cristal. Like nobody's had more of a cultural impact than Jay-Z, which for me is one of the reasons why he's the GOAT. But that being said, it just feels like that cultural influence is being exploited in this very moment. And the only one really benefiting from it, to me, it would seem like is Jay-Z. And, or people who fuck with Jay-Z. See, now, if I got to look at it from a different lens, though, let's say I'm looking at it now from a business lens, okay? I mean, in a way, he does have a fiduciary responsibility to his clients that are signed to Rock Nation Sports, any of them that are in the football world, and as well as his artists and stuff like that. I mean, if that's an outlet where he can start getting checks from just doing half times at games all around, you know what I mean? And just putting a quick 50, 100 grand, whatever, in people's pockets real quick. That's cool. So I understand that side of it. I also understand how, we as a people, we have this romantic thing about about how we should move on this revolutionary shit, but yet we don't want to support our revolutionaries. You see what I'm saying? Like Malcolm and Huey and Martin died poor. These people died poor. Like we as a people wasn't truly supporting them on a financial level. So you got people out here who's trying to balance the two of social responsibility and yet financial responsibility to themselves and to their family or whatever the case may be. I get all of that. So this is what makes me conflicted.
I feel like that's the real reason why people are mad, because they think Jay-Z is picking money over culture. And, I'll use this as an example. When he did the deal with Barneys, and this, I was telling you about this earlier. He did the deal with Barneys, and black people was so, he had a window or would, featured some clothing in there. And black people got so up in arms, like, oh my God, this stuff is so expensive. You sold out. You're working with white people. It's all about money. None of us can afford that. You're charging $100 for a Scully and this and that. And everybody just has so much to say about this deal that he did with Barneys. And ultimately, he had to say in a song, like, yes, I got Barney's looking like VIM right now. Like, the ultimate goal was, yes, it's not for you. I'm overcharging these rich people that come and shop in Barney's, and the proceeds are going to a college scholarship fund. It's like, he shouldn't have to say it out loud. Like, if people just stop for 5 minutes and take a beat, stop being so reactionary and social media revolutionaries, and just take a minute and think like, wait a minute, this man has been doing nothing but from Meek to 21 Savage to, like, he has a whole track record right now of being,
of
showing and proving and being for the cause, like.
Right, but what you do
now,
you do the most recent is what matters and is what people remember. So you can have a whole track record of doing some great shit. You fucking, you do some foul shit, touch a little girl or some crazy shit, and that's what motherfuckers gonna remember you for. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. All of that other shit is now going to go down the toilet.
But we don't know what he did. All we know is he did a deal with the NFL.
Right.
We don't know what it did.
We don't know what he did.
We know that all of these players are still playing. We know that Colin Kaepernick reached a settlement, which he can't speak about.
And I don't give a fuck about Colin Kaepernick.
Like, there's a whole lot
getting a job and all of that type of shit. Like, that's not, it's supposed to be why he knelt. Okay? Mm-hmm. Why did he feel the reason that he had to kneel? That's what we can't lose sight of, ever. And that was about police brutality and just murder and racism, which is a great segue into our next segment and our next guest.
But sometimes,
but that's what it was all about. I'm not here to say, I'm not watching football until Kaepernick
I'm
get
not
a
forgetting
job.
what it's all about. But
give a fuck
sometimes,
about that.
but sometimes the way to change the infrastructure is to get inside of it. You know, there are people. You know, there's always multiple. You know, ways to revolutionize. You have people that will say, hey, fuck sitting at the table. I'm going to go make my own table.
But let me ask you, where do you think the more influence lies? Jay-Z over us or Jay-Z over those owners? Where do you think he has more influence?
Of course, he means more to us than them, but
Right, who he has more influence
But
with.
I also think that is something that's going to work both ways. Like, of course, the NFL knows what they're doing, and they couldn't wait to ink the deal. And hey, you know, Jay-Z's down with us just in time for football season.
Right.
Of course, that's what
y'all can watch football again. We move past this.
Of course, that's what the NFL is going to do. But Jay-Z has to be more calculated. He can't say, well, guess what? Guess what, powers that be? I'm about to hire every black person. Like, he can't say it out loud. And I just wish people would just take 5 minutes to sit back and let the situation manifest before rushing to judgment. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree with that.
And
like,
then if it ends up being,
I don't disagree with that.
And if it ends up being a crock of shit, and all he did was make a bunch of money, then you know, fuck him too. But right now, it's too soon to say that, I think.
Well, listen, man. In this world we live in, a lot of shit goes down, and we're about to come back because 30 years ago, I don't know if y'all remember, but 30 years ago, damn near to the day, a 16-year-old young man by the name of Yusuf Hawkins was killed in Bensonhurst. Y'all remember Yusuf Hawkins? Well, we have a director of a film done on Yusuf Hawkins that's going to be on HBO soon, and he will be back, when we come back. He'll be with us when we come back. So stay here, come back, Yanadameen Godcast. Yeah. Clap it up. Yep. Welcome back to Yanadameen Godcast. I'm Lord Jamar.
I'm Digga.
Godfrey.
We're going to call him Godfrey come lately in this motherfucker.
Look who decided to join us.
Don't be interrupting my flow, son.
He missed the first segment.
Remember when you was talking about, man, rolling a joint, right?
Uh-huh.
And we was talking about some people don't know how to roll a joint.
Some people fold it.
They fold it.
And some people don't.
And the fold means it blocks the flow.
This is true.
So that's what happened to me. When I'm about to come this way,
You got your
someone
flow blocked.
blocks my flow.
Oh.
And so that's why I was late, because they was blocking my motherfucking flow.
And
You know
hold
what?
up. And then he gonna have the nerve to say, "Oh wait, y'all talk about the Jay-Z thing. Wait, I got something to say."
We gotta get past the kneeling, man. We
So-
gotta get past the
so
kneeling.
now we got- so-
we gotta get past the kneeling.
So now we gotta
gotta-
spend 2 segments discussing this, but we're gonna let God.
Well, I
past the
think
kneeling.
people probably
So you know what it's
would
about?
not be
You know what
mad
it's
at
about?
that.
You know what it's about? You know what it's about. We gotta get past the kneeling.
Listen,
The kneeling.
I'm gonna tell you what it's about. It's about people subscribing, okay, and people clicking that motherfucking bell, okay. It's also about going to cash.me/$, you know what I mean? Patreon.com/, you know what I mean? You know what I mean.com/support. And what's the last one? Oh yeah, bounty.com/, you know what I mean? And we appreciate anything you could do. And this is what we was talking earlier about how some of our revolutionaries and people that try to work for the community end up dying broke.
Yeah.
Okay? Malcolm, Martin, Huey,
Medgar, just
shit, even
everybody.
Marcus Garvey, like people died broke.
Yes.
And so there's this conflict between, social activism and making money. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, you need money.
You need money.
You need money
to operate.
You have to have money.
You have to have money.
You got to be able to be like a damn dog.
Erect. He did a chair fart.
Can't wait to hear this discussion.
He chair farted.
Yeah. Go ahead. Don't mind me.
But continue.
I mean, you got to have money, and the thing is, we got to learn to walk the fine line because there's going to be some compromises. I mean, I like to talk about the pro-black shit, but you don't want to screw yourself all the way because the messed up thing is, you as a performer, you got white fans. You got white fans, Asian fans, blah, blah, blah. So you got to find a way to balance to make things palatable for everybody. Still throw in your message. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm here for, because this guy,
He don't give a.
it's in their DNA. It's all in their blood.
Yo, you see
Maybe
his
they
face?
learned it
You see
along
his
the
face?
way.
Perfect. They drew you perfectly, dog. It's so perfect.
I'm like, or maybe they learned it along the way.
But no, we all want to make money. We all want to be successful.
Yeah.
We all.
I'm just sitting here, minding my motherfucker. I'm listening to the brother
Yeah, we
talk.
going on you.
And she's just popping shots like pow, like just under the arm, like not even looking at me. Just like boom. What the fuck?
You do it to me all
Relax.
You do it to me all the time. I'm like, yeah, so when
You deserve it.
I'm like, yeah, so in other news, the white man is the devil.
And it is in their goddamn DNA. I don't give a fuck what y'all motherfuckers say. Okay? But
So continue.
yeah, you better share that fan.
My thing is,
You better fan over here, man.
It sucks when we filming and we gotta turn the air off.
All right. So.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, motherfuckers talk about selling out and all of that type of shit, right? But I feel like we have to provide, especially in the conscious community. You need to provide some sort of incentive for a motherfucker not to sell out.
right.
Like if a motherfucker's alternative is starve or get some money from these white people, these motherfuckers is gonna get money from the white people.
You have
all the
to.
time.
Yeah.
Like
Survival, man.
until we start doing for self, doing for our own, providing for our own. It's like you're gonna always have to go to the table, to the white man's table, and say, will you hear me out? Like that's basically what's happening here, just on a big money scale.
But what if
We
Jay?
don't know that.
What if
Well, yeah,
Jay-Z?
we are.
I mean, I'm sure you all discussed this, but what if Jay-Z has? Because Jay-Z's a smart dude. And what if Jay-Z might have a plan? He might have a plan.
And
He
it's
might
what
be.
Digga's saying.
He might be doing something. I'm just saying there could be that. Like,
Right.
yo, I know I'm gonna take the shots right now, but just hold up because they got him running the Super Bowl. Now, this is my theory. Because the past couple Super Bowls, like 2 Super Bowls, ever since he kneeled, 2 Super Bowls went by.
Right.
Big black artists were like, fuck that. I ain't doing that fucking Super Bowl. Cardi B refused. Everybody refused. Gladys Knight had to fucking perform. He's performing in front of these little white guys like, who the fuck is Gladys Knight? Love Overboard.
I was gonna say, what the fuck is Love Overboard?
Myself. She had 1 pip left. 1 pip is trying to.
Hey, there will not be any Gladys.
Gladys Knight in a pip. Gladys Knight in a pip.
Love
You're like, what's
Overboard.
a fucking pip? Who is that lady? Love Overboard. You need to take your midnight train to Georgia. Get the fuck out of here. Jesus Christ, who the hell is, who makes Gladys's anymore, for Christ's sake? So, they were probably pissed the fuck off. They're like, I don't know these people. Oh, the old white people were like, fucking
But that's
Gladys.
part of it, though. So now
we'll
do anything we can to get the man
So-
with influence.
That's why they want that. I think they lost a lot of money because old white men don't fuck around. When it's all about revenue.
Yes.
And the Super Bowl halftime makes a lot of fucking money because if you say as an actor, if you get a commercial during the Super Bowl. You know, you get so much money. They spend so much money to get that ad, the ad space, millions of dollars.
Right.
So I think they got Jay-Z. I'm sure, like in The Godfather, they
Like
gave
Gladys
him
Knight didn't justify the price I paid
Gladys
for that
Knight made $100,000, and they were like The Godfather. I'm gonna give him an offer that he can't refuse. And Jay-Z fucking was like, man. They were like, listen to, and he was sitting there with Roger Goodell, the main motherfucker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's friends with the head of Robert Kraft, who's
Who he recoiled from when the nigga tried to touch him.
right. He was like, and you know, Roger looked like he was like, all right,
Nigga,
good,
get
thank
your
you, JC.
cooties
Jesus
off of
Christ,
me.
this is fun. And he goes, so he's like, I think they want to use him to recoup that money that they lost from the Super Bowl halftime.
Right.
And people say he might be an NFL owner. They barely want us to be quarterbacks, motherfucker. You think they barely want us to be quarterbacks? Why do you think they keep cheating for Tom Brady to keep
he's
winning?
He's going to have a significant stake in a NFL team. We'll see.
Well, we will
when
see.
he was down with the Nets, it was reported that he owned 1/15 of 1%.
But then I heard
Of
he
the
made a deal
team.
with the seats. There was a seat deal he made too. Like he
Okay.
bought some. Yeah, it was some seat deal he made. But I'm just saying that NFL ownership, whatever. Why is he overlooking the Super Bowl? Because that's where they've lost their fucking money. Why is he overlooking the goddamn? It's not like they say, yo, he got with the NFL. Wow, he's gonna be having his own team and da 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 da. And then maybe Kaepernick can be in the deal too. Then he's like, we gotta get past the kneeling. We gotta get past the kneeling.
And see,
We're past the kneeling.
Now let's
we gotta get past the
now
kneeling.
let's analyze
The
because I
kneeling.
think that's
What
the
fuck
part
you mean?
I think I was gonna say
Hire Kaepernick. That's how you get past the kneeling. But who is he telling us to?
I was
But
gonna
see,
say
I don't
that's
really
the part
care
that's
about the
getting
hiring of
that's the
Kaepernick
part
for
that's
me.
getting everybody up in arms. Like, do you think he's really minimalizing the effect of
No,
the
he's
kneeling?
listen. He has to talk that way because Goodell. He has to. It's white folks listening. Do you see how they surrounded him? It's like a white people are there, and so he has to talk. He has to do
In
like when he
code.
said, "Do you know what it was about? Do you know what it's about? Do you know what it's about? You know what it's about? Do you know what it's about? Do you know what it's about? What's it about? Police brutality. Police brutality. Police brutality. So now,
So we know what
remember
it's
when he
about.
goes like this? Now we got
know
to
what it's
have an
about.
actionable move now. The fuck did that mean? Get past the kneeling. Gotta get past it. Gotta get past kneeling. But he didn't really say anything. He goes, we just gotta get past it. You know what it's about? You know what it's about?
I don't think
You know
he
what's about?
articulated that point as
I know what he
as
was trying.
clear as he
Listen,
wanted to.
first of all, black people need to understand code.
He wanted to say we kneeled.
Uh-oh,
now
here we
what?
go.
No,
Well,
black
that's what
people
I'm
need to
saying.
know.
Now
Here's the
what?
problem with our. We shouldn't super snap at everybody all the time. What we need to do is go, okay, look at where that person is. You know they got to talk a certain way. Now we just got to wait and see how this motherfucker moves. That's what we do.
You're basically just
Because if I was
repeating
standing,
everything I said
if I
last
was
segment.
standing next to Roger Goodell, I'd be like this. I'd be like, listen, man, kneeling is cool, but what can we do to fortify that? I'd be talking crazy too.
To
I just
fortify that.
You know what I
See,
mean?
Here's the thing.
We got to get
like
past
when
it.
you say, what if he has a plan?
Right.
And I'm saying,
What if?
okay, what if he does have
We
a
gotta
plan?
wait.
But now, if you're gonna say that, then you also have to say, what if he's selling niggas out?
And that
You
can
see,
be,
like, you
and that'll
have to-
happen too.
You have to look at both sides of that. I don't know what he's doing, but
A lot of rich black
what
people
I'm
have sold
saying
black
is,
people out.
and what I said
Black
earlier,
churches, high.
What I said earlier that you missed is, I feel like Jay-Z has more influence over us as black people
Of course.
than he does over them as a body of old white men, good old boys. You understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
So, is it good to have someone at the table? Absolutely. And if you're going to have somebody at the table, from what we know of Jay-Z's record, yeah, he's a good person to have at the table. But what I'm saying is, from what we know historically of how motherfuckers like this move, and I'm talking about owners of the NFL, because these are basically
Slave owners.
slave owners,
Yes.
plantation.
Yes,
owners.
and
You know what I
Colin
mean?
got away.
So, if we look at that, you know, how much influence did the house nigga, and I hate to put him in that place, but that's
But
That's the only
that's
one
the
that
scenario.
had the whatchamacallit's ear at the time.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? He's the only one that was able to even speak to the master. So how much influence did that motherfucker really have? And especially on a body of them. Like maybe he had a little pull with his own little master, but when it comes to a bunch of them
I think they were all old white men get together like, how are we gonna recoup this goddamn money, Tom? Well, let me tell you, Jim. We get that Jay-Z guy. He has an influence of all the Negroes. We get him in there. We get recoup that fucking money for the Super Bowl because all those black artists, Rihanna, that bitch, she fucking refused us. All of them. We got fucking Gladys Knight singing. Shit, Jesus. So they were like, we got to get that Jay-Z motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because if anybody, I would rather see Magic Johnson at the table. Magic is a real businessman. Magic is a sports guy. He owns part of the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing well. I would like to see Magic Johnson at the table, not Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? But they got Jay-Z because of that music part, man. I'm telling you.
I was going to say, this is supposed to be like an entertainment-driven situation, right? So
Well,
I guess
of course it is. Sports, I got that, but it's like it just looks real sneaky, man. It looks. I'm just saying, I might be wrong.
And this is what I'm saying. Like a lot of it feels skeevy. Like as soon as this was announced, all of a sudden, here's preseason football is on TV. Like the very same night. Type of shit.
Nothing is ever not planned.
But we know it's business for them. We know they don't give a fuck about the culture or the effect of racism and social life.
They money.
And where there's smoke,
we know they don't
give fire. We're looking at a lot of smoke here, and it's looking very smoky. That's all I'm saying.
We know that.
And you're just like, let's
fan
just wait till we see the actual
embers.
Let's just wait till we see the actual flames.
Yes, because
we don't know. This could be. We don't know. Farts that are just
true.
We don't know.
True.
We don't know. All we know is the NFL's position and everything that they're putting out. We don't know what Jay-Z is doing, and there is a.
Well, we do know that he's going to be on the entertainment side as far as what he's doing for the player, what he's setting up for the players. That's what's most ambiguous.
Well, there's a cardinal rule that
we know he's gonna
real bad boys move in silence, and if it isn't revolt in play here, if he has to say out loud, it's a revolt. It's no longer a revolt.
They even had one of the Barber brothers, Rondy Barber. Had Tiki Barber was there.
I'm speaking metaphorically.
They had some black players. Tiki Barber was in the was it Charlemagne was there?
Charlemagne said a lot of his questions got edited out.
Ain't that a bitch? And a lot of times too. Yeah, what are the players saying? Because look at the way they shit on the players. They really shit on the players because the players revolt. Players can't say shit. Imagine you're making all the money. You guys are the workhorses, and they shut them the fuck down. All of a sudden, you bring Jay-Z in. There's some fucking disconnect. I'm sorry, there's some sneaky shit going on. But if I'm wrong, I'll go, I was wrong. But there's nothing wrong with thinking, they up to some shit.
There's nothing wrong with thinking that.
When it comes to black talent, white folks have always manipulated us. Always to make money. And they will find ways. And ownership, that makes a white man.
I feel like I agree with what she says. I agree
with
what she says. We don't necessarily have enough information.
No, we don't. Not at all.
To fully weigh in this. All I could say is there's an obvious play from the NFL to try to use Jay-Z's influence.
Obvious.
Now, we don't know what he's doing in return that might kick back to the people and he got to shut up and all of that so he can't say nothing. We don't know that part of it. But what's very obvious to us is that they're using this man to try to influence us because not only was it the Super Bowl, football in general, the numbers have gone down because black people are not fucking with it like we was because of this whole issue. They need the same man that got you, you know what I mean, to go from gold to platinum, to from jerseys to button-ups, all of that. They got to get you to go from not fucking with that to saying we moved past that and we are now fucking with football again.
Guess what? I think, might make it worse because they're going to be like, you trying to insult us with this shit? They almost damn near fucked up. I think it might get worse because a lot of people are pissed at Jay-Z. Let's right off the bat first. Because of all this fucking, this Kaepernick shit, the way they've treated Kaepernick, they pretty much was like, Nigga, you better know your place. These motherfuckers showed us that it's all about that shit.
Well,
hang on. And when blowing Jay-Z is
Let's
insulting
talk
our
about-
intelligence.
Let's talk about that part.
You're
Let's talk
blowing
about the
away
part
our fucking
that
protest.
Kaepernick took money, and in the taking of money, he was to silence. He's not supposed to say certain shit, right? Ain't nobody calling him a sellout.
Kaepernick needs dough, dude. He's not playing. He makes his money playing football.
Nigga, he got Nike money.
Good. He should have it. Let him
Right,
have
but
it.
what I'm saying
but
is,
with this money,
took
he can do
from the
things.
NFL,
Yeah.
and
What's wrong with that?
yeah, well, then what's wrong
Fuck
with
it.
Jay-Z taking money from the NFL?
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not.
I'm just saying, like.
But here's the thing. What if I'm saying during the? We'll see.
There's 70% of players black ratio taking money from the NFL.
Look, Stu, we taking money from white people. Regardless, a lot of us are getting paid by white. I'm saying that I want to see what the ratings do because I think the black community might be insulted, going, "Oh, you gonna try and throw Jay-Z in here to get us? Fuck you." It might happen that way where it'll get worse.
Yeah, like it may not necessarily be.
Or it'll be like,
damn, it worked.
My nigga Jigga said it's cool, y'all. Let's go tailgating.
You will see. It's going to either go here or there.
I just think it's too soon to say either way. That's just like everybody assuming the Central Park Five was guilty because they were there, and all the evidence points to this, and it looks suspicious because they were all there, and and then the facts came out, and there you go. I just think it's too soon to make a decision either way. You can speculate. You can, it can walk like a duck. It could talk like a duck. And guess what? It might not be a duck. It might be a swan. I'm just saying.
Swans are mean as fuck. They'll fuck you up, though. But I don't know. But getting past the kneeling part was bugging me. Past the kneeling.
He's moved, in a way in the past that's going to lead me to believe that he's doing something crazy now. But
he's shown us.
listen,
He's
but at
shown
the
us he's
same
about the
time, I
money.
know- yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
He's
he's
about
also
his
shown us
bread.
he's about the culture. So it's too.
Well, what's all this shit? How much time we have? What's all this shit about? Pardon me. Let's unpack the part about Jermaine Dupri was supposedly offered.
Was offered an NFL
deal.
And Jay-Z told him don't do it.
Right. How deep are you in that? Yo, don't fuck with it. It's not a good look.
Word.
Talked him out of it. And then
he gets his shit.
Slides in. That's like, look,
in.
man, I'm telling you, don't fuck with her, man. I heard she's burning niggas.
Nah, you
all this
fucking
type of shit. Now that's your fucking girl.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Yeah.
You told me she was burning. Like, what the?
And he might be that dude that's like, fuck that, I'm ruthless. I'm a businessman. Businessmen are ruthless too.
And this
they
is
don't give a
true.
fuck.
And they say all's fair in love and war, but
I mean,
I
thought
that was your man. Like
we've seen that side of him with Dame Dash too. It's like it.
I want to know what Dame Dash has to say about this.
He could have possibly conned Jermaine
him on
out
the
of some shit,
Godcast.
and he could have, and who's
Get Jermaine on that.
Who's to say there isn't a position being put in place for Jermaine, like right now as we speak? That's what I'm saying. Like nobody knows. Like all we know is Jay-Z did a situation with the NFL, and everybody's up in arms.
Yo, Choke No Joke is going crazy right now on the internet. What's up with Choke No Joke?
Going in
been
on
watching
everybody.
these videos?
No, I haven't watched.
I haven't seen all. I've seen a few.
This guy Choke No Joke,
But he goes in on
is
everybody.
Going in on Jay-Z,
What?
the whole Rockefeller. Like he was there for a lot of shit, and this guy, man, he's becoming a trending topic out this motherfucker.
Really, Choke No Joke.
Choke No Joke. Check out
I gotta
his
look
video.
that up.
Check out-
I've seen him. I
gotta look up Choke No
I saw him
Joke.
talking about Nipsey and stuff.
He's got a lot of shit to say about
got
a lot of
stuff to
things.
say.
It's interesting.
But yeah, man.
Speaking of culture and community, I want to propose something because this is something that like I feel real strong about, like littering and just garbage and just filth in the hood, right? And I hate that it's so apparent when you cross city lines. Like, okay, look at the suburbs or the quote unquote white neighborhoods where everything is just nice and clean and pristine. And then, you know, you'll cross a certain city line, you just automatically know you're in the hood because you just start seeing garbage. So I want to propose that maybe at some point in the not so distant future, we as black people in urban communities could take a day of just cleaning up. The way the Ethiopians came together and planted 300-something million trees in 12 hours, like, you know, something small, couple of hours out of your day, doesn't cost anybody any money. If everybody just went outside and put some gloves on and just picked up all the garbage off the ground, then maybe at some point, you know, when you go places and you don't see garbage, you might think twice about throwing your coffee cup on the ground because everything looks clean.
I've seen cats when I was living in the Bronx. Cats were just throwing shit on the ground.
Let me just say, first of all, I totally agree with that. I'm totally for it. Let me just share a quick story with you. When I was young, right, my mother, like, we'd be outside and my mother would start, like, cleaning up. And yo, I used to be like embarrassed. Like, why are you doing that? Like you're not the fucking trash lady.
My dad did it too.
You know what I mean? And she used to be like, no, you gotta fucking, you know what I mean? Keep where you live clean.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And you know, when you're a kid, you don't really understand. Like, stop doing that. You know, but now, you know, it's and like. Shout out to my moms. That was some respectable shit too. Right there. Like, I get it now. So yes, why not go out? This is the place you fucking live. Like, have some. And even though, see, it's because we don't own a lot of shit. So, you know, part of our frustration and lack of ownership and all of that is just, I'm gonna write graffiti on it and throw old cups in it.
What makes you not want to put something in the garbage?
I had that debate with somebody, and I said, well, you know what? Who's to say that people think, oh, you know, when you trying to figure out where your next meal coming from, you could give a shit about the flaming hot Cheetos bag on the garbage.
Put the shit in the garbage.
And I feel like, okay,
what's wrong with you?
If we spend a day and just clean up, who's to say the next step won't be, let's everybody plant some grass but maybe the next step could be, let's everybody plant some flowers
But that sounds like work.
Let's everybody,
like, man, fuck that.
Let's everybody plant some food.
Fuck, I grass smoke that shit, man.
But you know, but it's a small measure. And people, I know you're not saying.
No, I know a small measure. Like, even if it's a small group of people, at least set an example.
I think if
remember them sticks with the pointy shit on it.
If whole neighborhoods
jab
did
the fucking shit and then you put it in the fucking.
These community groups with the kids, like, hey kids, let's spend the afternoon cleaning up this vacant lot of land right here.
No doubt.
Like, if everybody just like the way they did in Ethiopia with the planting the trees, if everybody just spent a day.
But here's the thing, you gotta make it cool.
Yeah, how you make it cool,
because
right?
The same way I was like, why are you doing that, Ma? Like, I didn't think it was cool.
In other news, the cop that murdered Eric Garner by placing him in an illegal chokehold has been officially fired from the NYPD.
Finally.
So make some noise for that.
Finally.
It's a bittersweet justice. Personally, I think he belongs behind bars, but
I think he should be in front of a firing squad.
Some small measure of comfort.
Listen, you know, a lot of people, you know, feel like, is that it? Like, he got fired. Like, some people feel like, first of all, can he get hired at another police department?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure you can. No? If you get fired from one, you can't get fired. It's a wrap for all. Okay.
If you're white, who knows? They'll change the rules.
Well, here's what I've heard.
He's currently appealing. So.
But check it out. Here's what I've heard policemen do. Right? They get fired from the shit, and they go to the fire department.
That's the same shit.
Now that you can do. So they go to some other, you know, government agency, and somebody gives them a nice little recommendation on the low, and they fucking get in there, whether it's fire department, mailman, sanitation, something. Something that's going to give them another fucking pension and all this type of shit. He ain't going to be or the police union, if they really feel a way about it, they're just gonna fucking take up a fund to pay this motherfucker's bills for the foreseeable future. Like that's how they take care of their people. That's how white insanity has its incentives. You see? Like if you could do some shit and get away with it, that gives you an incentive to do it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, he got fired. Is he gonna starve? First of all, he made more money during this time. They probably stacked him up. Listen, you might get fired, so let's give you mad overtime and shit like that while you behind the desk, so you can stack up, save that money.
Or the cop's favorite thing to do is like set up a GoFundMe and something. We help with legal fees and.
He got $100,000 in 2 days. You see what I'm saying?
With a GoFundMe? Yeah, I'm about to say GoFundMe is the instant go-to.
100,000 2 days for killing.
Yeah, because
killing a brother.
In the eyes of in the eyes of those masses, this was a cop, who put his life on the line. And,
now this guy's name is Daniel Pantaleo. Daniel Pantaleo. Let the record reflect that Eric's murderer was Daniel Pantaleo, and this is the guy that put him into a lethal chokehold.
Unbelievable. And those white men are like, fuck that nigga. Yeah, we're going to give you some money.
Did anybody see the announcement about it? Because when I was watching it, I watched it live. I mean, I can't front. My heart started beating because it seemed like.
Because in the beginning, he was
sounding like. It seemed like this nigga was going to get off.
It seemed like he was justifying everything.
He was putting so much blame on Eric Garner, that it was not even funny. And the whole thing was about, if he only wouldn't have resisted, we wouldn't be here. First of all, people, you have the right to resist some bullshit. Right. You have the right to resist tyranny. And they keep acting like, you got to comply. I see videos every day where white people don't fucking comply. So stop ramming this narrative down our throats that we're the ones that must comply or die, because that's the fucking that's the message.
Okay, wait, let me stop you. As right as you are though, we cannot irresponsibly say to the world, it's okay as a black man to resist tyranny.
No.
That's dangerous.
They wait for a little bit of resistance.
As legal as it may be, it's dangerous, and we can't.
Yeah. Even when we know our laws,
we can't give people the impression that it's really okay to resist tyranny. We still have to understand as black people what we dealing with.
Right, but at the same time, at some point you have to take a stand for yourself, Digga. At some point, you have to take a stand for yourself, and what happens happens.
You can take all the stands you want. I'm saying just be responsible and also letting people know that as much as we can take the stand, we also have to be aware there is a higher probability that we're gonna be fucked up.
But understand this narrative of don't resist, comply is to implant fear in the minds of black people specifically.
Yes.
That if we make even the slightest move, you're out of here. That these guys are just going to go lethal on you, where they don't do that to their own people.
No, because we are nothing to them. We are not human beings.
But
human beings to
be
white
mindful,
folks.
They're going lethal. So
yeah, they're going lethal. Let's automatically know that they don't like your ass, and they're gonna throw all the laws out of the book.
But they also go lethal when you.
We can call it psychology.
When you comply, they'll go lethal too.
Right, doesn't matter.
So how do you can't win for losing?
I'd rather not resist first. Don't go. What the fuck I do? They're waiting on that rah-rah shit first.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. We can call it it psychology all we want, but in real deal, Holyfield,
because most of the times, if you're talking to them like, "Oh, what did I do?" You get at least a chance to breathe for a second. You know what I mean? And they explain it to you. But if you go, "Yo, what the fuck?" They'll look. He was threatening me. He was reaching for something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He reached for dignity.
I sensed some
and I had
black
to kill him.
rage.
He reached for dignity. I saw it. You know, shit. I mean, these cops, man, what the fuck? Not all of them. Let's make sure we say that too. Not every single cop, but I don't put it past them. I always have that in my head.
You know, I always wonder, especially with the KRS record, Black Cop. Like, I always wonder what the black officers on the force, like, when they're in these rooms, you know, with their police brothers, like, how
They're
are they
outnumbered.
Yeah, it's like, how do you feel in that conversation? Like, I wonder if they ever get to hear like the real talk. Like,
I'm sure they hear it because them motherfuckers is disrespectful. They probably talk all kind of nigga shit right in front of the black cops.
You can't do shit.
But guess what? You can't do shit because you're the minority here, and if you complain to the superior,
Catch
guess
22.
what? He's down with me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he feels the same way about you that I feel about you.
Don't matter where we go.
Don't matter. I mean? Like, so what could they really do? You know what I mean?
They're stuck.
Other than try to give little breaks out on the street, you know.
And we gotta be in there. We gotta be in the police
niggas.
force. But then we're gonna get the same shit. It doesn't matter where we go. We're gonna get that racist shit. But we need to be in there. But it's gonna be catch-22. You're fucked. Especially when you gotta arrest a black person, your white partner's watching. So you gotta be like, shut up, motherfucker. You better shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? You think I'm gonna give you a break because you're a nigga? You know. And the white cop's like, yeah, there you go. Make sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, I'll fucking report you. Yeah, that's right. Choke him. Choke him. And you got to be like this. Yo, just breathe. I ain't going to. You got to pretend. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm going to loosen up a
and
little
then
bit.
if the dude starts to he's like, nigga, stop. Motherfucker, you know I'm going to get fired. Just fucking act with me.
Yeah, just faint, motherfucker.
Stop motherfucker, shit. So it's a catch-22.
We getting ready to take a break. We got another guest. We got a guest coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, there's the 30th anniversary of Yusuf Hawkins murder. He was murdered in Bensonhurst by some white boys that, you know, basically didn't want some niggas in their hood. And
they thought he was possibly coming to see
see one of their girls or some shit like that, and he wasn't. And anyway, we have Muta'Ali, who made a documentary called Yusuf Hawkins Storm Over Brooklyn, which is going to be on HBO in the very near future. So we have him coming up next. So we're gonna take a break, and coming back, special guest Muta'Ali.
Yeah.
Yanadameen Godcast. Welcome back to Yanadameen Godcast. I'm Lord Jamar.
I'm Digga.
Godfrey.
We got Team Yanadameen in the house. Clap it up. Studio audience. We got YouTube live in the motherfucking house. And right about now, we have our special guest. He is a director. He is a grandson of some famous people that we'll talk about a little later. I'm not even going to drop that bomb on you yet. We're gonna give that reveal in a minute. But he has a documentary coming out on HBO about Yusuf Hawkins. Everybody, welcome Muta'Ali to the United States.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing? Pleasure to be here.
Yes,
Good to have you.
Yes, sir.
So Yusuf Hawkins.
Right.
Yusuf Hawkins is a name that I feel I haven't heard in maybe 30 years. I remember on Brand Nubian's first album, Sadat X had a solo song called Concerto in X Minor. And in that song, he mentions Yusuf Hawkins. And they were mad that we were squawking, is what he said. They try to show false compassion, but at the rally, they try to bash in our brains, further adding to the bloodstains. But anyway,
Shouts out to everybody who had Yusuf Hawkins.
Shout out to-
I had a Yusuf Hawkins
she had
line.
Yusuf Hawkins line.
Yeah, you also had a U.S.
On Dirty Harriet.
Did Chubb Rock have a
Chubb
U.S.
Rock.
Chubb Rock.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Treat Me Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And Public Enemy.
Public, yeah. They had the Bensonhurst. Probably had
They
talking about
mentioned
Bensonhurst.
Yeah.
They talked about Yusuf Hawkins.
Yeah.
So, Yusuf Hawkins, for those of you that don't know, 16-year-old young black male who was murdered basically going into a white neighborhood in Bensonhurst, a predominantly Italian neighborhood, where they were, looking at a car, looking to buy a used car, something like that, and ultimately was mistaken supposedly for somebody else that was messing with a white girl around there. And, these guys were beat up, and ultimately Yusuf Hawkins was shot, twice?
Yeah, he got shot 4 times, but
4
2 times in the heart.
Wow.
Christ.
Directly in the
So
heart.
he ultimately died. Protests came from this, and this ultimately, the protest that came about from Yusuf Hawkins' death actually helped to put David Dinkins, the first black mayor and only black mayor of New York City, put him into office and get
He was in the middle of a lot of shit.
Koch the fuck up out of there.
But then they put him in some shit. Because I was in Chicago at the time that whole Dinkins stuff was happening. They were giving him hell. Like when we had our first black mayor here in Washington.
Right.
They just gave hell.
Well, there was a lot going on that year, in the year of '89. That was the year of Tawana Brawley,
The Central Park.
Central
that happened
Park.
in April.
Like all of this happened in one calendar year.
And then a few years before that, they had Michael Griffin, which was another part. What was it? Howard Beach.
Right.
And another similar, white boys chased the brother onto the highway where he got hit by a car. And this was all, evidence of the racial divide that existed in America then, and it still exists in America to this very day. So it's ironic. What's that? You good? So it's ironic, 30 years later, and, from the day of this taping, maybe 2 days from now would be the actual...
Right, August 23rd, yeah.
August 23rd makes 30 years from the day of Yusuf Hawkins' death. So tell us, what motivated you to do this story, how you got into it, how it ended up coming to HBO. Let's start
I got
there.
invited to be a part of this story because I did a documentary called Life's Essentials with Ruby D, and that came out in 2014. And Victorious DaCosta, who's in the audience there, he called me and told me about he had been working with Charles Darby, one of Yusuf's childhood friends. Charles Darby had a dream about Yusuf, and Yusuf came to him in the dream and said, "Don't forget me." So Charles, he's not a filmmaker, but he's a driven person, and he was like, "I know I got to do something." So he was reaching out on social media, eventually connected with Victorious, who's also a filmmaker. And Victorious, he had liked the project that I did before. And we all joined together, and my producing partner, Javon Frank, joined with us. So the 4 of us, for a good year or so, pushed hard, the whole bootstrapping thing, get your pennies together, borrowing money, trying to, and at that point, I was on the fence at the beginning because I was 10 years old in '89. So I had a child's perspective of what happened. And I'm not from Brooklyn, but Victorious is from Brooklyn, Charles is from Brooklyn, and my business partner is from Brooklyn. So I had a good cabinet of people to keep the story in the hearts and minds positive in terms of people from Brooklyn. But coming from Westchester, I had to do my own research. I confused Yusuf with Yusuf Salaam because it was the same year, Yusuf Salaam from the Exonerated 5. And there's a great book by John DeSantis called For the Color of His Skin about what happened to Yusuf. And I read that, and I had to decide, how am I going to dedicate 4 years? It usually takes about 4 years of your heart, really, when you're doing a documentary. How am I going to dedicate myself to this if I'm not fully in it? What is it about this story that's really going to make me commit to it? And the first thing was meeting Yusuf's mother, and then meeting some of Yusuf's friends, and seeing a little bit of how their hearts are doing now, all these years later, and it's still so fresh with them. And I don't think they ever had a chance to really tell their story and especially when it comes to Miss Hawkins, she never really at that time she was grieving so heavy inside. She didn't. I don't think she had a chance to get it out. So that kind of I was like, you know what, I got to do. It's definitely worth 4 years to just let's make this happen. So we interviewed them just on our own dime, and interviewed Yusuf's friend Luther, who was right next to Yusuf when he got shot.
Oh, wow.
And he hadn't talked about it in 30 years. He talked about it then to the legal people what he had to do, but he said he bottled it up for 30 years. So there's a lot of pain out there that I'm like, okay, we gotta give people the opportunity to get this off their chest and tell the story because it's relevant now, sadly, obviously, not only because people of color still killed for the color of their skin, but the denial was so heavy back then, the way the denial is so heavy right now.
Right.
Like people were saying, like, oh, New York is the melting pot. And that's what Dinkins was kind of running on, that whole gorgeous mosaic. Mm-hmm. And really, people weren't really appreciating that because New York, there was a lot of violence that could happen when you cross certain borders. There was a lot of, there's segregation in New York now, and there is back then. And that had something to do with how they prejudged Yusuf before he arrived in Bensonhurst and shot him 4 times before they asked him who he even was, Right. So we pushed hard and eventually connected with the American Black Film Festival and Lightbox Entertainment. Lightbox is a multi-Oscar winning documentary production company, and they helped us develop.
Out of London, yes?
Yeah, they're London, and they expanded out to L.A. They've done Searching for Sugar Man, L.A. 92, all these dope films. And with them, we developed the film a little further and took it to HBO, and they were excited, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So HBO funded the picture.
HBO. Clap it up.
Clap it up, HBO.
That's my channel.
Okay.
That's my channel.
So it's official now,
That's what's up. So you mentioned your first film, which was?
Life's Essentials with Ruby D.
Now, Life's Essentials with Ruby D, which was about your grandparents.
That's Ruby D.
Who are Ossie Davis and Ruby D.
Wow.
Right.
What?
Do the right thing. 1989.
Right. Exactly.
Legends, ancestors.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we created that. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away like soon as we finished that film. The day we finished the audio mix on that film, I went to her house and she had passed away. But she knew the value of that film was not just tell part of me and grandpa's life story. She knew that in that film it features a grandson, me as a filmmaker trying to learn from a grandmother, and she knew that when people see that sort of love, that sort of intergenerational respect and exchange, she felt like people would really, really bond with that no matter where they come from. So I'm really proud of what we did with the Life's Essentials film because it inspires people when we do screenings. I'm going to go talk to my grandmother on film and see what she thinks about this and that. But we really focused on love, art, and activism in that film, which is what, Ossie Davis and Ruby D represent to a lot of people, love, art, and activism.
How was it to, come up, under the aura of two icons?
It's hard to explain because I don't think I had the opportunity to know what it was like until I was away from it, or to know what it was like till I lived a little bit longer to be like, ooh,
that was just grandma and grandpa.
It was for the most part, and I guess that sometimes this is how it is. But when you grow, it's like, wow, these seeds that have been planted in me since I was a kid come from my whole family, but also inclusive of Ossie and Ruby, and they I think without them, I wouldn't have even said I want to do this project. My values have been tuned before I even had a chance to tune them up. Right. So I think that is something that I appreciate because that's something I really didn't have anything to do with. It was just them knowing that that's what this young man is going to need. And they had 7 grandchildren, so the 7 of us kind of got, guided in a certain direction. But one thing that I feel that I think about most recently is their honesty. They were really real and honest and able to share their what they consider their pluses and their minuses. And I do think I picked up on that. And I think that's a liberating thing. And I think that, they were courageous too.
Your grandfather did the eulogy for Malcolm X's funeral.
Right. Absolutely.
That's that black shining prince.
Right.
That's him.
Yeah,
That's
Ruby
him.
D was in the Jackie Robinson story.
Yep.
He played Robinson's wife.
Right.
55, 50s.
Yep, absolutely.
man.
Raising in the Sun, the original one, and like you said, Do the Right Thing in '89 when it came out. You know, they both in there.
So you grew up in New Rochelle.
Yeah, predominantly a little bit in Mount Vernon, but I was like 5'7", something.
Right.
Like that.
Okay. So I grew up in New Rochelle as well.
Right.
Now, your grandmother and grandfather's house,
Yeah.
you probably didn't know this, but basically was right behind where Sadat grew up at. Where Sadat X from my group, he grew up. They were on Cortland Ave. He's on Hunter Ave, which is right behind there.
Yeah.
And I remember that, that was a thing. Yo, Ruby D and Ossie Davis, they live right there,
Did he ever stop by or nothing? Like he never.
Ain't nobody just ringing the bell like, hello, like,
Right?
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
I know Farrakhan
The Jay-Z and Beyonce of New Rochelle.
Farrakhan used to live in a house over there as well
Yeah.
for a short period of time.
Right.
At one point.
He's in the film too.
And just being from New Rochelle, you just take pride in little shit like that. Like, you don't have to know them. Just knowing that Farrakhan lived in New Rochelle and that Ossie Davis and Ruby D, you know what I mean, was living in New Rochelle. That's something that we took pride in because, their neighborhood was a nice neighborhood, but it wasn't that far from the hood. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we definitely took pride in them coming from New Rochelle.
Absolutely. And it's funny, doing part of this project, you put a lot into the film and then you got to trim it down. And there was a scene in it about Eleanor Bumpers. You remember the lady?
Yes.
She was murdered in the Bronx.
By the
65 years
police.
old. The police kicked in her door and shot her with some shotguns.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, just doing minding my business and making this film. And I'm looking at archival footage at her funeral. And I see, that's Grandpa and Grand Ruby at the funeral. Like they were there representing and supporting the people, like just like on a regular every day, like not even for like the
they
big.
were bigger than just artists. They were activists.
Right.
They were poets. They were a lot of different things. What's that sign over there that you brought?
Oh, I'm glad you pointed that out.
you.
So, in honor of Yusuf, we are campaigning to change Verona Place. Thank you, brother. Verona Place, that's where Yusuf's mural is now in Bed-Stuy. We're going to change the name of the street to Yusuf Green Hawkins Way.
Okay.
Nice.
And we're hoping to get everyone's support.
How can we support you? How can the people? Is there a petition or something like that?
There is a petition. We're getting the community board to get behind us so they can understand that people care and this is an important thing that they should get behind.
Is there an online petition? Because we have thousands of viewers that I know for a fact would be ready to sign this petition.
If you go and you follow Storm Over Brooklyn,
okay,
then you'll be able to find out everything and get your hands on the petition.
Once again, Storm Over Brooklyn. And that's the name of the documentary, correct?
Right. Yeah, the full name is Yusuf Hawkins Storm Over Brooklyn, but all the social media is Storm Over Brooklyn on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Follow Storm Over Brooklyn. StormOverBrooklyn.com, you said as well?
No, not that.
Okay.
No, not yet. We didn't do that.
We ain't get that much money yet to be holding
I have a
servers and
question
shit.
about the
Yes.
documentary. Did you get a chance to speak with any of the assailants at all?
I spoke with Joey Farmer, who's in prison right now. He's the one person in prison right now for Yusuf's
He's
murder.
the actual shooter, right? Or no?
See, the thing that makes it not as clean as I would like it to be is he's not in prison for shooting. He's in prison for second-degree murder, and it's not as the shooter. It's depraved indifference. Depraved indifference to murder is the term. And I'm not a lawyer, but it's basically you were participating in
and you didn't
some
do
act.
nothing.
Yeah, you didn't do anything to stop it. So no one is in jail, and no one ever has been in jail
For the actual shooting
wow.
itself.
And that's what Yusuf's father was saying in the press a lot back then. Like you think that there's justice, but there's not. There was 30 people who surrounded, and one of them ended up shooting Yusuf. But I can see another case if there was some other other color 30 people surrounding somebody, and then that person got killed. You have acting in concert. You have felony murder. You know what I'm saying? There's reasons why more people should have been.
Right, well, look at the
culpable
Central
for it.
Park Five, right?
Right.
They all did. You was in the park that day. You come with
Right,
us. Oh,
right.
you wasn't in the park. You too.
Right.
Like they just rounded everybody up.
Right.
So you did this over the course of 4 years?
No, it actually, once we got the budget, it was 1 year. We were very quick with that.
Okay.
I came on board in 2016. Victorious and Charles, I think, have been doing it since 2015, I believe.
Okay.
So, yeah, 3 years,
Right.
Yeah.
So you're doing this documentary, and as you're doing this, you're seeing a lot of things going on right now that are reminiscent of this story. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Of how, 30 years later, it seems like not much has really changed.
Right. I think about it a lot. I mentioned denial earlier, and I think that's what allows things to continue. Is publicly we allow people to just deny the existence of something that's deadly to us. And I don't mean just they say racism 2.0 is to say racism doesn't exist, right? But it's not only just racism. It's look at a map of all the boroughs of New York City. If you look at a New York Times article about mapping segregation. There's lines
Right.
where black people live,
Red line.
white people live, and that still exists today. And the segregation is even worse in the school systems now. So that, if you add that with the fact that we have economic disparity, and if you add that to the denial that racism exists, you're gonna have a bunch of people who feel entitled to treat other people any sort of way that they want, and racism is not condemned as it should be publicly in all communities, So it opens the door for things like this to happen. And a lot of the population that lived in Bensonhurst migrated to Staten Island. And that's where...
And I live on Staten Island right now.
So you feel any of that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Eric Garner was out there.
Like you gotta understand when you ride around Staten Island, you see all these blue ribbons.
Okay.
And because that's in support of the police, and it's definitely a racist climate in Staten Island. But I can't say I've had anybody ever say, "Oh, you nigger" to me, but it's definitely, and you see the redlining out there. You see, like, one side of the expressway is where the white people live at. And then on the other side, when they talk about the wrong side of the tracks, in Staten Island, it's the expressway, Staten Island Expressway. You live on one side of it, towards the North Shore, that's where the black people, towards the South Shore is the white people.
So, yeah, that's how it is.
Forget about it.
It's so funny, the Italians, when they came, you got to see PBS. The Italian-American PBS, Ken Burns. The best documentary maker, Ken Burns. You have to see the PBS Italian-American saga because it's so good. When they got here, they looked like they were from India. Dark. Dark. They were dark. They were treated like shit because they're now fully white. Right. But then once they got here, they could sign, you're white, you're white, you're white. So then they got the privileges of being white. They were living in the ghettos first, like with the Irish.
Right, and what happened to them, though, they kind of blame on black people. And,
everything is blamed.
They say, but it really happened they didn't understand the macro forces that were involved with. If they bought a house and they that was their nest egg, and then black people moved on the block and they saw their house go down in value, they'll just think, it's because of the black people. They don't understand that there's these banks, there's these loan companies, there's
that's
public
creating
policy.
that.
Right, and people like Ed Koch who prioritized expanding his tax base, which means catering to the people who are wealthy and ignoring the people who aren't wealthy. All that combined, it divides people so much. And if I'm white and I'm angry and I'm going through some tough times and somebody's telling me it's these black people and I'm not thinking, then I might have some hatred in me, that doesn't get resolved if everyone around me is like, oh, yeah, racist. They don't condemn racism and they let things slide. So then you have people. There was Deshaun McKenzie. There was a little 16-year-old boy in Staten Island who got killed in 2016, chased by a bunch of white people. And it's like it just happens, and it is what it is. But no one really stops the lies. The lies keep happening. And
we actually did a show a couple of weeks ago, Nature versus Nurture, where it's it's my belief that the way racism is taught generation after generation, that it just becomes natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like even people you can have the purest intentions on the planet, and it's just you just see certain things and just hear certain things all your life. You just grow up believing like this is what it is. This class of people, this race of people are inferior, and it's okay to treat them however.
I will answer your question more fully. There's another brother. There was a black man there and was friends with the white people in Bensonhurst who surrounded Yusuf, and he participated in the film. And that was an interesting interview, so I look forward to people commenting on that. But I gotta say that it's not a monolith out there, and it's complicated, But what's not complicated is the only reason they stopped Yusuf and his friends because they were the only black people around. Everything else is complicated about rumors about dating or about who in this group was actually racist, who in this group actually intended to kill, who was just there because their friends were there. Bottom line is that group only surrounded Yusuf and his friends because of the pigment of their skin, and that's what's tragic. But it's only that black man who participated and Joey Fama who has nothing really to lose because he's already in prison. But no one else from the attackers agreed to participate.
So what made you get into filmmaking? I mean, I know your grandparents, Ossie, Davis and Ruby D, but you could have been an actor, you could have been a poet, you could have been a lot of different things. Why filmmaking?
It's funny. You probably would never guess. You remember the original cartoon movie of the Transformers?
Yeah.
Okay, so that came out when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and my father took me to that film. And when I left, I started crying. He was like, "What? What is wrong?" I said, "I want the Transformers to be real." And he was like, "What?" He said, "Be an engineer," is what he said. Be an engineer. So I went to engineering school, undergrad.
This ain't gonna help me make the Transformers.
I think I want to make films.
I'm gonna make my own Transformer.
Yeah, so I think it was how I was.
Let me find out. That's what you got into. You still want to make the Transformers?
I think
if you could make a Transformer movie, would you? If they said, "Here you go."
Yeah, as long as they don't do that weird stuff they do with the characters, like the whole culturally.
Oh, you're into it like that. Like, don't fuck it up.
Which one? The one where they had jazz?
They got the characters talking all black and shit.
What's up, homie? Right. And he got killed first.
Yeah, as long as that's not happening.
The black Transformer was killed first. We can't even be a fucking Transformer. Remember? He was like, "Calm down, Ironhide." Right. Said, "What's up?" "That's my man, Jazz." "What's up, homie?" I was like, "Oh no." And then that Decepticon said, then the guy goes, "You want a piece of me?" "I want the whole thing." I said, the black Transformer got killed. Mm-hmm. Ain't that a bitch?
Right.
Did it have a Japanese model?
I survived the horror movie.
And he actually went like this too. I was so amazed. He was like,
"You're an anomaly, Digga. You know."
Damn, we can't
but
you're not human.
It feels good to be moved by artwork, and I'm like, I was inspired by that,
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, Jazz, my homie Jazz. Oh, that made me so angry.
That's crazy.
Now, question for you, Muta.
Yes.
Do you feel like when this happened, when Amadou Diallo happened, it seemed like these were like these rare occurrences, and these names like kind of jumped out at you. Whereas now, because of social media and camera, and you're seeing so much of it, it's almost like, wait, who's the guy that got shot by the cops last week? What was his name again? It's almost like now it seems like it happens every day. Do you feel like this was always happening, and now we're just seeing, because of social media and everything being recorded, now we're just seeing more of it, or is it happening more now? What do you think?
I would say we're seeing more of it.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm a fan of Brian Stevenson and his Equal Justice Initiative, and I think I haven't gone down to see his museum, but he's putting markers, from what I understand, around all the trees where black people, men and women, were lynched. But there's no cameras back then, so I'm sure if there was, that's just a lynching, let alone shooting or all stuff like that. So I'm more than confident that it's been going on. But I think what I get worried about when it comes to social media is that whole cycle that happens where I get upset and then I don't do nothing or whatever. I feel I feel what's the
Helpless?
Desensitized.
impotent is the word. I'm only able to get angry, and I know these. I go into engineering school. Instagram and Facebook love it when people get angry because that means you're just gonna use their software more or whatever. And then what am I really doing to like make a difference? I feel like what we've done with this film is at least giving the family that opportunity to get their voice out. Because what's different about this story as opposed to other stories when including black people get murdered is we get to see what happens to the family when the family decides, okay, my murdered son is gonna be as an example, so that we see what happens to black people in New York. That put Yusuf's mother in a position where she couldn't just mourn privately, mourn for the loss of her son privately. She's out there marching in the neighborhood, surrounded by these people yelling nigga to her, where she could be at home crying, you know. And so we get to see a little bit more of an intimate perspective on the family's journey.
All right, well, listen, we thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You know, listen, Muta'Ali, Storm Over Brooklyn. Storm Over Brooklyn on all social media, yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's called Yusuf Hawkins, Storm Over Brooklyn, and it will be on HBO. We don't have a set time yet, but it's coming. Check them out. Clap it up. Muta'Ali. Yanadameen Godcast.